Hi there, it's Andy Lehman again. So today I want to talk about effective communication. This isn't necessarily a Life Bible extract. It's kind of probably hinted upon in the book, but it's not particularly in the book itself. But effective communication is a great way of getting what you want out of life. Now, it's kind of interesting when you consider how many me people there are in this life who basically are so self-obsessed and want everything out of life that they can get, that they have failed to understand effective communication. Now, effective communication keeps conversations open, and it allows you, as I say, to get more out of the life, get more of the things that you want from life. Now, here's a great example of not effective communication, is that, as you probably know, I'm currently in the middle of moving house, which is why the office videos seem to be more and more sparse compared to the previous videos. My furniture's going. We're getting rid of a lot of the stuff we don't want because we're planning to move overseas. And so we're selling stuff. And part of the one of the things that I was selling, or one of the things my good lady was selling, was my drone. I had a drone. I got a drone for my birthday quite a couple of years ago. I rarely get to play with it. I rarely get to use it. And so the decision was made to sell it. We were going to sell it for £20. And so she put it on Facebook Marketplace with a price tag of £20. She received a message not long after putting it on the marketplace, which basically just said 10. It was 1010. There was nothing else in there. There was no pound sign, no question mark. There was no mentioning of the drone. There was nothing. We can only assume that that message was for the drone. Unfortunately, we had lots of other messages. We had lots of other things for sale at that time, and we were getting messages left, right, and centre regarding things. So we really wasn't sure what this message was for. But just because it said 10 and nothing else, we decided that, well, basically it was a bit rude and a bit lazy, so we ignored it. Now, had the person who'd sent the message had said something along the lines of, "Is the drone still available? If so, would you accept £10? I can be there within 10 minutes. I've got the cash. Please let me know." If they had said more of that, we would have felt obliged to reply. We would have actually, it would have attracted a reply. There was the incentive in there. There was benefits in there. We knew that he was talking about the drone. We knew that he was a serious cash buyer. We knew he could be here today, putting money into our hands. We had a lot more information to go on. So had he sent that message, we would have applied to it. But he didn't. He just said 10. So we basically ignored it. If the message, like I say, if he had sent a message saying, "Is the drone still available? Will you take 10 instead of £20? I've got the money. I'll be there in 10 minutes." Because we would have applied, he would have still been in the game. Whereas the person who just sent the message saying 10 was out constantly. He was out the game, deleted. He was just, that was it. There was no more. He was out. Had the other person, had the other message, and we received the other message that I've just said now, and replied to it, the other guy then could have replied with something along the lines of, "Okay, if you don't sell it within a couple of days, or you've got little interest, come back to me, let me know. I'm still interested. The offer's still there. I've got the £10. I can be around in 5-10 minutes. I'll take it off your hands." The conversation was still open. Chances are he could have ended up with the drone if it hadn't sold. You're sort of putting yourself back into the conversation, and that is the point. Effective communication is about clearly thinking through what you are sending, what you are writing, and then making sure that you get more out of life by basically communicating it, which is kind of funny here because here I'm sort of struggling trying to say what I want to say. But it's through the art of communication, which is basically you get stuff from other people. I'm not saying that in a negative way. You're not necessarily manipulating people. You're persuading them to a point, and yes, I suppose it is manipulation. It's not negative manipulation, but it's how you get people to sort of do things and give you things. And it's not against their will. It's by their choice. It's just like you've drawn it out of people, or you've put something in their head and made it realise and think, "Oh yes, we need to do this, we need to do that." Effective communication has sent armies to do the most horrendous atrocities to innocent people by leaders who have effectively managed to communicate their desires to their armies. No matter how nutty, balmy, wrong and bad they have got people to do stuff. So effective communication is about getting more of what you want, and it's a skill that you should be armed with. I mean, here's an example. A few years ago, I was working in a job I didn't want to be in, and so I decided I wanted a different job, and I decided that I wanted to work back in the industry I used to be in before, and I decided I wanted to work for a specific company. Now, fortunately, I'd been sort of networking a little bit, talking to one of the bosses of the company, but this one day I decided to sit down and write an email, and it was a huge email. It was like a sales letter. We've talked about sales letters before. I do sales letter writing, email writing, article writing. If you go over to freedomskillsacademy.com, you will see that there is a course about writing email marketing, or about email marketing, making money with emails and articles, and you'll see some of the sales letters that I write. So I wrote this email, which was like a sales letter. It included all the important things like the bullet points, and I talked about their benefits, because the whole idea is that when you want to talk to somebody, if you want something, you tell them what they want to hear, what they want, what they need. It's like dating. It's like when, if you want to find a specific partner, then it's best that you try and make yourself look visually attractive and appear to be the person that they want. If you get what I mean, and that's a completely different conversation for another day. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be who you are, but if you want to attract a certain person, then you need to be the type of person that they want. And it's the same with writing, with emails. With this email that I sent to this company, that I basically laid out a future that they could have if they employed me. I gave them ideas of benefits, and this email it covered everything, every aspect. I even told them sort of how much money I was expecting, and it was effectively communicating my desire to work with them, and effectively communicating what they would get out of the deal. That email basically resulted in me having a meeting with them within a week, and then as soon as leaving that meeting, I was sending a message to the factory manager where I was working, saying how much leave do I have to give because I have another job. So I effectively changed my career, my life, and got myself a new job by writing an email where I effectively communicated what I want and what they wanted. So I changed my life for the better. Now, effective communication is basically it's a skill that you need to have, because it will change your life. It's more powerful than you can imagine. I mean, that sounds like what's that? Obi Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars. More powerful than you can possibly imagine. Effective communication can give you a lot more out of life. If you can tell people exactly and clearly what it is that you want, and if you can tell them what you can give them, then you can get a lot more. Just recently I did the same thing for my good lady. I penned a email for her to send to a company, which again has landed her in a position. It's all about writing and effectively communicating what it is that you want and what other people need. I've done it several times with emails when people have wanted work from me. We've kind of worked up a proposal. I've sent the email to them, and in that email it is said basically what I will do for them, what they will get from that work, and how much I want for that work. So it's effectively communicating the fact, this is what you're going to get, this is what you need, this is what I need, and yeah, I got what I want. So basically, instead of just sending out an email to a person saying £700 a month, I'll write you a couple of articles, and that's it. They've got nothing to work on. It's a bit like the guy who sent the message for the drone, who just basically said 10. No question mark, no pound signs, no is the drone available, no I can come and get it tomorrow. There was no information in there. Now, I'm not sure that there's such a thing as too much information. Possibly you can probably over egg the pudding. Maybe you can put a bit too much fluff and filler into an email, but as I say, it's always better to have too much than too little, because then they've got something to work with. It opens up communication, it keeps you in the game. So effective communication is vitally important, and yeah, it's something that you should really, really master, especially as you've seen here, I'm basically thinking this as I'm sort of sat here talking, so it's not probably as clear as writing, but writing is probably the most important way of changing your life around. You can certainly change your life by being able to write decent emails, decent letters, decent articles, sales letters. But again, it's changing your perspective as well from the point of me. Going back to the message where the guy sent the message saying 10 and nothing more. It wasn't even £10, it was just 10. There's a term called mind blindness, and that is actually mentioned in the Life Bible. So if you want your own free copy of this physical book, 200-page book, we are sending this to anybody who wants a copy. Just go to the website. You see the link above my head, freedomskillsacademy.com, the Life Bible. All we ask you to do is pay postage and packaging, or posting and delivery, whatever it's called. In there we talk about mind blindness. Mind blindness is a term that was used a lot in autism, and that is basically where people, what they're thinking in their head is the centre of their universe, and because they're thinking it, they sometimes are forgetting and unaware that other people have no idea what they're thinking. What's going on in your head is in your head. It's your universe. You know what it is. You know what you're thinking. You know what you are doing, and you know what you're talking about. Nobody else does. Not until you clearly state what it is you're talking about. And this is the thing where I think people need to be more effective with, and that is clearly stating what you're talking about. It doesn't matter if the person already knows. As long as you get in there and send an email regarding such and such a thing, hi, I would like to talk to you about such and such a thing, even if it comes through from a listing and they know what it's about. eBay is probably slightly different because you basically do know, because the message comes regarding certain topic. But basically, let the people know what it is that you are inquiring about, what you are talking about, because then it opens up communication. If you don't, people are just confused. And it's okay, like I say, it's called mind blindness, where you automatically assume that other people know what you're talking about. You often forget that because you're thinking of one thing, one item. So for the person who was thinking about the drone, he sent a message saying 10 for that drone. He's forgetting or not aware that we're probably dealing with 10, 20, 30, 40 messages or emails from other companies or other people. Companies that you send an email to, they're probably dealing with lots of inquiries. And so you've got somebody who's there working, they're flipping from 5 or 6 different inquiries at the same time, they come to yours, and then they get this message saying, password's not working. Which password? I had this just the other day. Someone sent an email to regarding a website that I manage, which has a password protected area, and they sent the message saying, password's not working. And I'm thinking, well, which one are you talking about? We do actually have several password protected pages for different products. What are you talking about? Fortunately for me, I could see what page they were on at the time when they sent the message, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it will happen all the time. They could have quite easily come off the page, gone back to contact us page, and then sent the message. I wouldn't have had a clue where they came from, what they were talking about. So telling me that password doesn't work is useless. It's not very effective at all. Because of my role, I have to answer the question, and I want to make sure that they are corrected and sorted because they're paying people. So, sort of customer support, so I'm making sure that they are, addressed, their issues are addressed. But if it was personal and somebody had sent me a message and I had no idea what they're talking about, there's no reason for me to reply because they haven't given me any half the information. It's not effective enough. But so going back to this gentleman who sent me the message saying, password's not working. I don't know. Is it? Isn't it? Or you just, which page are you talking about? Which password are we talking about? So obviously I had to reply and answer the question there. But the fact is, it would help if he just sent the message. But he obviously doesn't realise that I'm in charge of lots of other password protected pages, and that I'm also getting emails and messages from other people. And so him just sending that to me is basically like just throwing a stone into a crowd. Or having a crowd throwing a stone at me. I see lots of people, I don't know who the stones come from or what it's for or why. So, so effective communication is vital for your survival, for your success. And as I say, in a world where most people are me, and they're so obsessed with themselves and they're out to get as much as they can for themselves. It amazes me that people are not that, or don't understand about effective communication that much, because that generally is the best way to get what you want. There's a big Twitter woman at the moment, Jack Monroe, is it she's called? She's barefoot chef or something. I can't remember what she does, but she basically, for years she's been doing cheap food, putting them on video on YouTube, on Twitter and stuff like that. And just recently she's taken something that the government had, it was to do with inflation and the cost of food and how they calculated it all wrong. She went and calculated it properly and then got into the papers and got into the TV. And she herself has said that she's often been very passionate to the point that she gets angry, and usually things get on top of her and get stressed and it all goes pear-shaped. This time she stayed calm and she was calmly, effectively communicating with people. And since then, it has absolutely just gone crazy for her. And half of the it's not just the work that she did with the calculations of the food and the inflation rate. It's not just that, which was getting lots of shares on Twitter. So that was very very useful in itself, which kick-started it all off. But she said a lot of it was also down to the fact that she kept calm, she kept a composure, and she effectively communicated what she needed to say in a calm manner. And it has skyrocketed. She's been in papers, on the TV and everything. So please, if you are looking at trying to make the best of your life and you want more out of life and you want more from other people in a good way, not a bad way, but you want more from people, then you need to learn to sort of communicate more effectively. Watching my videos is probably not a brilliant example of them. If you got to this stage and haven't got bored already, if you've got this far, public speaking is slightly different to writing, very much different to writing. But effective communication, especially with emails, messages, and all that kinds of stuff online, writing scripts to do videos, it's incredibly powerful and it will help you no end. If you can clearly tell people what it is that you want and what you can do for them, what you expect for them and for you, and if you can communicate that effectively, you'll find that you'll get far more out of life than if you just randomly send mind blindness messages where people have no idea what you're talking about, and if they have to guess, they'll give up. Seriously, because one things about humans is that we are lazy, and that's not necessarily a bad term. I don't mean we just sit around and do absolutely nothing, but we generally, as a whole, as a species, we don't like to do more than we need to, and we don't necessarily like lots of hard work. So if you send messages to people and they have to spend time, their own precious time, trying to figure out what it is that you want and having to waste their time replying to find out what you want, they won't bother. We didn't. I generally do it a lot. If I don't know what you're talking about, if you can't, in one message, if you can't, it's the same as like when you're on Facebook and someone spells your name wrong, and yet your Facebook name is there, or even on Twitter or Instagram, whatever it is. If they can't even get your name wrong on a message or a comment, then how are they going to expect you to sort of reply? Because effective communication is being observant and delivering what people want. And your name is your name, and if they can't respect that, or if they can't get that right, then why are you going to waste your time trying to talk to them? I'm not saying that you can't or that you shouldn't, because 9 times out of 10 you might find a decent person. You might find it was worth replying to people. But you see what I'm saying is that if you're going to send somebody a message, get the name right. If you're going to send someone a message about a subject, tell them what the subject is. Tell them what you're writing about. If you want something from someone, tell them what it is that you want. If you believe you can give somebody something, you tell them what you can give them. Communication, effective communication, is really the best way in many ways to change your life, because we can talk about businesses, we can talk about all kinds of investments, we can talk about all sorts of things, but if you need to borrow money, you need to go and borrow it from somewhere. And how are you going to ask for it? Effective communication. If you're going to set up a business and you need to have a partner or a backer, how are you going to get them? Effective communication. You're going to need to speak to people. You need to tell them what it is that you plan to do, what you're going to do. You need to show them, tell them, and you need to tell them what it is that you want from them, what is expected of them. Effective communication, that is the backbone of everything, really. So I'm going to bring this video to a close now. I think I've rambled on long enough. Only you can tell whether I've effectively communicated my message across or not. So anyway, as I say, my name is Andy Lehman. If you want to go to freedomskillsacademy.com, you can get yourself a copy of the Life Bible. This is a physical 200-odd page book, and we send it to anyone around the world. All you need to do is pay postage, and you can get that from the link above. Go to freedomskillsacademy.com. You'll find lots of stuff on there as well about effective communication and all that kinds of good stuff. So I shall speak to you again in another video. Thank you very much for watching. Speak to you soon. Goodbye.